you. Don't stand in front of a man and a fish he ain't caught yet. Honey, if the world calls me, tell him I'm fishing. I'm going fishing. Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Wouldn't you like to? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Where am I headed? Wouldn't you like to know? I'm going fishing. Woo!
Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live, as always brought to you by all our wonderful sponsors, scrolling across the bottom there, including Ballast Point Brewing Company. Today we're going to have a sculpin. Last time I opened a sculpin on camera, it blew up on me, so it didn't. Cheers, everyone. Welcome to the show. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we air live episodes of the Kayak Fishing Show with commentary, question and answer, all that with guests. We're not doing that today because we got some great stuff. I knew this was going to take longer than a few minutes, and I knew we were going to want to talk about what's going on here. So we're dedicating the whole hour to Jackson Kayak, minus a couple of minutes here at the beginning. So first off, I want to say I've been talking about this product, the BlackPak Pro. If I can fit it in the screen. This just arrived at my house last night, and I've been looking forward to it. Great tackle storage option. I got it last night. I broke it out this morning, and it took me about an hour to put it together. Mainly because A, I've only got one arm that works, and B, it is a lot of screws. But it was simple. It's a great product by Yakattack, as always. That one I've set up with 4 rod holders across the back, the lid opening sideways. And so I'll be able to strap that down on the back of my Blue Sky. I got a second one, and that one I'll be setting up for my new boat. Or my Kraken. So we've been teasing this for a while that Jackson Kayak had some exciting stuff coming up. And it just got introduced a couple days ago. I'm sure you've seen the post we put up about the Knarr. And this has been a project that's been going on. These guys have been working so hard on it, had the input from all the guys in the now I can't say all the guys in the Jackson Kayak team, but a lot of the guys on the Jackson Kayak team, and just getting input. And I mean, they put it through the ringer, a lot of testing, new boat, new drive, a lot of innovation, a lot of great stuff happening at Jackson Kayak. So I wanted, like I said, I wanted to devote this entire show to talking about this new boat. You can kind of see it behind me. You can kind of see Jameson. Let's get that. Let me cover that up again. That could be me holding that fish. He is on the new Knarr. Jameson has kind of been a driving force behind. I can't say kind of. He has been the driving force behind this boat. You guys have seen Jameson on the show many times.
No warning there. I'm just like mid-sip.
Cheers, Jameson.
Yeah. I'm having a fine Pilsner as usual. So
a Miller Lite.
A Miller Lite, that is correct.
Man, welcome to the show. You've been grinding at this thing. I mean, how long's it been going on?
Yeah, it seems like forever. I'm sure it's been in the works for a few years of us trying to get to the point where we could come out with a new boat and really revamp the whole entire process. So the boat itself has been well over a year, and then just the process of how we even came to the boat. And I think we should dig into that here in a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
I really want to talk about that, about how
yeah,
this
because
came
that's
about.
such a big part of how we were able to get here. And so, yeah, my role, or what I did, if anything, was just try to help connect the dots, from our team and their input, and our dealers and their input, and the consumers and their input, and work with our great R&D team, who hopefully have got their internet back up and running, because they were texting me that they were having problems there. But we'll be introducing them, and some of you guys probably know who they are already. But yeah, it's just been such a working, like, how we came to this boat has been such a team and group effort, from all the way from consumer input, dealer input, team input, putting a team of people together on our team, which I'm going to name tonight, just because I think the ideas they brought to the table is just what really made this. And you were part of that group that we put together. And then the guys that hopefully have their internet back up, and we're going to talk about.
They are. I can see them over there, and from the top down at Jackson Kayak,
just being able to enable us to do what we did, and kind of reinvent how we come to a boat design for fishing is it's been amazing, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and all of us have been chomping at the bit, just waiting to talk about this boat. I mean, it is a pedal boat, so everybody knows I'm a paddler. But I mean, I just had shoulder surgery, and the older I'm getting, the more I'm like, pedals aren't that bad. And super excited, not only about the boat, but again, I mean, the redesign on the Flex Drive. And we'll talk about that too. But what I really want is for people to bring us questions. If you have questions about the boat, about the process, anything like that, we're going to get those in as well. If we don't answer them today during the show, we will come back and answer them later. Oh, I did want to mention, if I didn't before, on that BlackPak Pro, I put a link in the comments. The Luther did a full step-by-step walkthrough instruction on how to put it together. And if you watch that, it really makes putting that thing together just boom. You just walk through the steps. It's simple. So I wanted to throw that out there really quick. So Jameson, I'm going to bring the JK R&D, because that's what they put at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to let you introduce the guys.
Yeah.
Let's there's one of them. I don't know why
they're probably on each side. You can pull me out. There we go. That works.
We'll do it that way.
So on the screen, right-hand side, and I'll let him wave, is Tony, who is our hole shaping master, and the reason that our boats, I believe, perform the way they do when you're paddling or pedaling. I feel like our hole shapes are really, really awesome when it comes to how they do what we ask of them, whether it's big water, which is what the Knarr is designed for, or a river boat, like we've had with the Koosas in the past and that kind of thing. So,
and I had the pleasure of working with Tony on the design of the Kraken, and it was just an awesome experience for me.
Yeah, there was no blood at all during that.
There was a little pushing back and forth,
but no actual bloodshed.
No bloodshed.
I don't feel like we shed a lot of blood on the Knarr.
I flew out there because I thought I was going to have to shed some blood, and then I saw how big Tony was, and I'm like, well,
yep.
Now we're going to have to compromise.
Yeah, and yeah, I was going to say, and Tony's wife also, does she still do the roller derby? Because that she scares. I think she could hurt a person as well.
She retired right in 2019.
Yeah, so both between the two of them, I say things and then run. But yeah, smart. So then Brad, who is kind of over the clown show here in R&D. No, I'm just kidding. But Brad does a lot of things. I mean, you wear a lot of hats. You do some stuff hands-on the molds. He's doing a lot of the design work in CAD, and just kind of all connecting the dots too, from getting the concepts to going from a concept all the way through to purchasing and getting the parts in-house, and kind of in charge, I guess, of that area there that they're sitting in. And then Nick's one of the newest, not new by no means, but newest member of the group as far as the R&D team goes, and does a lot of the CAD design, worked on a lot of the components. That's really what's making the Knarr set apart from a fishability standpoint. Worked on the new steering system, a lot of the accessories, helped design those and take those across the finish line. Really took the bull by the horns there, and also is getting more involved in the boat design process as well, with Tony. So yeah, just a really great group that without them we wouldn't have any of the boats that we have, and especially not the Knarr. And I think I'm not overstepping saying that the Knarr has probably been one of the most challenging boats that the team has worked on, as far as bringing all the components and all the new innovations and everything together to make the boat what it is.
I wasn't deeply entrenched in this. I mean, I was more of a, hey, let's throw some ideas out there. And I mean, you guys were there day to day. And I know, just like I said, working on the Kraken, how that can be. And I guess, first off, what were the biggest challenges? Or I guess we'll start off with, what was the idea of the Knarr? What is this boat for?
I'll let Tony answer to the whole.
Hey, Jim, you just told me what it was for, and I just gave it to you. So
well, and that's it, though. Well, I'll speak to that. So, and I'll bring this up real quick because I want to talk to Jim. You mentioned it; you were a part of it, but you were a big part of it. So, when we started this, we kind of knew that we wanted to go down the path of building a boat that could handle big water. And when I say big water, I don't mean just offshore. Obviously, we wanted to be able to go through the breakers, chase big fish, and have a pedal drive boat that could do that and handle those conditions. But also, we were hearing a lot of our tournament anglers that were having to fish on days during a tournament. The tournament happens even if the wind's blowing 30-40 miles an hour. If it's storming, tournaments still go on. And so we were hearing a lot about getting 2, 3, 4 foot wind chop on a lake, and whitecaps, and people flipping boats, and just having to deal with those conditions to get to a protected shoreline to fish or whatever. And so we wanted to kind of make a boat, I think, that could handle everything a tournament angler, an offshore angler, would deal with condition wise. And that was kind of the founding point. And I think always when we start with a boat design, we look at the waterways that makes the most sense. I think it can get lost sometimes when people are thinking about what kayak is the right kayak for them, is to really think about where you're going to be fishing in that kayak before you start moving into the deck layout and all of that. So it's kind of the first standing point, is where does this boat make sense? And once we knew that that is the direction we wanted to go, we wanted a boat that was a pedal drive boat that could handle big water. We put the team together to start giving us input on the features that they would like to see in it. And that team consisted of offshore anglers like yourself, Jim, Bart Swab, who does it a lot. I do it quite a bit. James, our marketing director, has done quite a bit of offshore as well. And then also a bunch of our tournament guys, like we've got Chad Brock. Chris Funk doesn't fish tournaments, but Chris has just been around our company for so long and has a lot of insight into the industry. But then Dustin Nichols, who's a big tournament guy, and obviously one of our team leads and a big part of Jackson, Jason Ricketts, another team lead, and knows a lot about the industry. Gene Wilson, which if anybody knows anything about our team, Gene Wilson catches big bass. So we got to have her input. Josh Stewart, I mean, he's killing it on the tournament scene. Joshua Evans, same thing, killing it. Justin Hauser, another team lead with a lot of insight. Matt Ball, who is over kind of our competition team. Nick Brown, been in the industry around Jackson for a long time. Richard Penny, another tournament guy, and one of our sales managers, territory sales managers. And Russell Johnson, who's another tournament angler that's been on our team for a very long time. So I'm sure I'm probably missing someone, but those were the core group of people that we really put together to start putting pen to paper of what features need to be in this boat, what was missing on our other boats and other boats that are out there that are offered from other brands that we could do better. And one of the big things was the hull shape, and that's the starting point, and that's where we kind of got together with Tony and the team there and outlined what this boat needed to do.
Tony, what makes a good big water hull? What are you thinking about there?
Dolphins.
Dolphins. What actually, it's a couple of things. Obviously, we still want as much stability as possible. However, stability in a calm situation is completely different than when you've got swells. Especially if you're running perpendicular to a swell, a wide boat is actually less stable. So it was a matter of really first off, being able to compromise enough so that it works both ways. And
always compromises.
It's all about compromising. And then after that is really, it's how it performs in more severe conditions. I mean, granted, just about any boat will be fine in flat water, long and narrow, which is what I'm used to making, a 19-inch wide, 19-foot long race boat, that's where it's at. However, that doesn't really work for fishing. So it's really, once you start to get into conditions, what you have to do to the hull to make it perform, windage, you have to really look at all of those factors, and you're always picking, when you do one thing, you're going to lose somewhere else. So it's always little by little, just to hone it in to be something that is all around can perform.
Yeah, and if anybody isn't quite sure what he's talking about, if you're new to kayak fishing or kayaking in general, look up the differences between initial and secondary stability, because a lot of people think these very stable initial stable boats are going to be really stable in big water, where in fact they're just so wide and they've got such hard sides that once you get past the initial stability, there's no secondary stability.
Paddling or pedaling perpendicular to the swell, and as that boat comes up like that on that swell, a big wide boat, you're going over.
Right. Yeah. So I would speak to that though. I mean, this what you said, compromise. I would call it. You found that sweet spot with it where it is still very stable, very easy to stand in. I mean, I've stood in the boat sideways, fishing, just turned around backwards, got stuff out of my my pack in the back. Like, it's still very, very stable. However, when you take it offshore, you don't feel like it has that perfect mix or balance between the two, and handles that rough water very well. And I've seen some comments, I see our friend from Canada there it says it's a very heavy boat, and it is. And that's where a lot of the fishing boats have went, because of how much gear, and especially the tournament anglers rigging them out with dual screens and power poles and all that stuff. But how do you balance a boat that can handle all that gear and still be able to be nimble and go offshore and handle, the rough water? And I think that's what you did really well with this design, is we have tested it offshore in Panama, and we have tested it in 30-40 mile per hour winds fishing for bass with tons of gear on it. And it performed in both scenarios very well.
And I'm going to have one more question for Tony, particularly because this is still mainly hull kind of thing. What do you look for in a hull, or where are you trying to go with the hull when it comes to launching and landing through the surf? Because they're obviously very different animals going in and going out.
It's launching and landing. I mean, a lot of that, is rocker when you're landing, and rocker and the bow shape. You want to be able to. You don't want to pencil in when you're surfing in. You want that bow to be able to start to shed the water, and as it flares, especially on the Knarr, as it flares up, when that hits the trough of the wave, it's going to lift up. So that's one of the big things, and rocker as far as that, and launching, it's a balance in between piercing and lifting over the swell.
Right. You get too much pierce and you're getting washed off the back of your boat. You definitely want that lift. And that's what was always so great about the past boats. And I can see that bow of that boat. Wait, where is it? There it is.
I'm actually looking through the photos too to see if I have a close up of it actually punching some waves. So
I mean, it's people don't realize, when you're talking about the boat design, I mean, all this stuff has to come into play if you want it to be right. And I know a lot of guys spend a lot of time on the Knarr in prototype, and again with the new drive and everything else. And that's what I've been so excited about this. I've seen boats rushed to market And this one has had so much testing and so many guys on it. I'm surprised it has been kept as hush hush as it has. As many guys have been working on this, so it's super cool.
I'm getting attacked by Canadian geese, if you guys are wondering.
Damn Canadians. I wrote something like that, like the Canadian talking to James, and I'm like, damn Canadians. And I got put in Facebook jail for typing damn Canadians for hate speech.
You're a bad boy.
Yeah. So go ahead, Jameson.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think too, one of the things, and you may be moving this direction anyway, too, is like we knew we wanted, if we were gonna do a new pedal drive boat, we really wanted to take a hard look at that. And I think that's kind of the next thing that happened with this boat and had to happen in conjunction with it.
Right. So what are some of the features that were really important to you, Jameson, or to the team, I should say,
so
that got
I think
put into this boat?
Yeah, some of the main ones were, we knew we wanted to improve the steering, and that's where Nick really took the bull by the horns on that, and he can get into that and share a little bit about what we did and the challenges there, or how we were able to do that. But as far as like radius goes, the other steering works, but we wanted to be able to make the boat turn. It's a long boat. So being able to increase that turning radius as much as possible and keep it to where you could steer from either side of the boat was a huge deal.
It's a long boat. How long is it?
13 feet 9 inches.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, I say long boat. That's long for most fishing kayaks. I know that's not long for race boats or touring kayaks.
No,
that's a long fishing kayak for sure. And then the other things were we wanted kind of unlimited mounting options, so you didn't have to do a lot of drilling or adding, different mounting options. And we wanted it to be able to be adaptable to accessories that already existed, as well as accept new accessories that we were coming out with. So I think you guys all hatched the idea. I'm not sure which one would take credit for the tri-track idea, but that's kind of where another thing came in, was like, okay, I think Brad came and said, hey, check out this tri-track. I was like, that's cool, let's make it really long and then bend it. so I think that was like a big one, when we were able to accomplish that. And there was a few moments where a little bit back and forth of, can we bend it, how long can it be, and but I think we ended up with a really cool product. It's I don't know if everyone even realizes yet how awesome that is, because you have so many mounting options that you can do a lot of things in a certain area of the boat, whether if you need to add rod holders or, run some cable management. We've got some things coming down the pipeline for that. As far as your electronics go, coming out with new accessories that actually can mount on the inside of the boat instead of the outside, like the rod rack that helps you manage your rods. And that's another big one, in-hole rod storage. So like on our big rig, we had the rod storage, but it was kind of outside the boat on these troughs, which made the cockpit seem small, even though the boat was a very large boat. This boat is actually not as wide as the big rig overall, but you have way more cockpit and deck space, allowing you to bring those rods inside. So the internal rod storage was a huge one. A few others that you'll notice is the bow. A lot of guys in tournament fishing are adding the bow mount, remote control, GPS, spot lock style trolling motors off the bow. So being able to do that without having to have really any kind of aftermarket accessory, you can just kind of access it. You got a flat spot up there. It works. It mounts really easy, but it doesn't affect the performance of the boat if you don't have it on there. So it's not something that's, you're having to lose performance in offshore situations where you don't need that trolling motor. You still have all that. So that was big. Obviously, foot control steering. People are adding torpedoes, even other kinds of motors to their boats off the stern, and still want their pedal drive and still want their steering to be left alone, and add the foot control steering. So some geometry was added to be able to run those steering lines. So that was another big one. Yeah, those are the main ones. Battery storage, the back hatch, being big enough to set a full size, like 100 amp hour lithium battery down in there. If you're running the bow mount motor, That way you can have your battery stored in the hull, but offset that weight that you're going to add to the bow by putting it in the back, but also having a space. And I think Tony came up with this completely on his own, was the space in front of the drive, like utilizing that space to be able to put a cooler or a battery there as well, where the transducer is. Obviously a transducer scupper was a big one. So yeah, those were the main ones. Just making it really easy to rig out the way people are rigging their boats now, but also making it easy to take all that off the boat and keep it as clean as possible. If you're going to chase like really big fish offshore, you can have that clean deck. And one of the things I like about the having the track, like the tri-track throughout, is if you do need to, you get in a situation where you need to paddle the boat, you're too shallow to utilize the drive or whatever, or you got a lot of vegetation, you can simply slide things on the track without taking them off way out of your way and clear your paddle stroke. And I've been doing that, when I'm chasing some of the spawning bass that we have right now that are up in the shallows and stuff. So
how's it paddle?
It paddles well. I mean, it paddles, I think, better than our big rig HD paddled. And Tony, you can speak to the whole shape there and why, but
well, yeah, I mean, the big rig, by and large, was a platform.
Yeah,
and that's what they wanted. They wanted a platform for the larger, the more portly, if you will, those that have never paddled but are full-grown humans. So that's what they got. So something that's just wide and not that long, it's only going to paddle so well.
Yeah, it was a dance floor.
It was, and in fact, I had a family living on one at the lake. And 2 stories. They had the whole thing going. It was great. It was Airbnb. Made a lot of money on it.
Well, it was big and it was rigged, I think is the way I put it one time in one of the walkthroughs. But yeah, I mean, it does paddle pretty well. And we had to cross. I fished it on Lake Gunnersville a while back, and we had to cross a very large shallow flat that was, it was not more than probably 9 inches deep or something like that. I mean, your paddle was touching the bottom every time you made a stroke. But I didn't hate it. At the end of the day, I wasn't like, oh man, that sucked paddling, So
how shallow could you get it into?
It actually has a pretty shallow draft. I mean, we noticed that even with the drive down, we were fishing in Texas on some grass flats, Dustin Nichols and Richard Penny and I. And we were like, wow, this thing is actually got a pretty shallow draft for a pedal boat. I would say that it's the Take 2 by far is our shallowest draft boat that I've been in. But the Knarr it does pretty well in shallow water.
Brad, what were some of the biggest challenges that Jameson threw at you?
I would say the team threw at him. I was just the carrier.
I
was the messenger that got beat by Brad every time I brought a message to him.
They wanted absolutely everything.
Yeah.
The answer to your question is yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think every day I came in there with something new that we as a team or group came up with. And
you should ask Jameson for some of his conceptual drawings from the start.
Those are the greatest.
I see that James is watching, and I think James's conceptual drawings are a notch below mine. I'm just saying.
Pretty rough.
I don't know, like the tri-track when it was dreamt up, it was not intended to be in 6-foot long sections and bent and installed on a boat. So that was a little.
Originally 24 inches.
That was
24 inches groove.
That was a head scratcher, but we managed. And the steering, like we dreamt up the steering on our own. One afternoon, it started out on a piece of plywood with some cams and turned into what you see now. But
it took some strange turns during the time.
Yeah, we got a bucket.
Some scary turns.
We got a bucket of all the different revisions back in my office right now. It's pretty hefty.
So we bought a 3D printer a couple years ago, and we've burned it up the last year and a half.
Well, let's talk about the steering. What's new and improved? What makes it better than we had? Because I'm not going to lie. I mean, on the Kusa FD I had, I was not a fan. of the steering on those boats. So where has it gone from there?
I'll speak to it briefly, and then I'll let Nick take over. But I mean, to me, it's a bit more intuitive because I mean, traditionally, if you want to turn left, you're gonna rotate left. So that's what you have now. And like Tony mentioned, it took a lot of pretty obscure turns through the design process and ended up where we are. But I think what we have now is really robust. It's totally functional. It's intuitive. And it turns a lot tighter radius for you, but it's clean
because but we've been able to increase the throw.
We've been able to increase the throw
which
bit.
was big, which was real big.
Right. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say we didn't take a look at what the competition's doing, because we did. I mean, I think that's what every good manufacturer is going to end up doing at some point.
If they're smart.
Yeah, and Hobie's nailing it, right? So we kind of took some stuff out of their playbook and massaged it into our own style, and what you see is what you get now. And I think it's pretty slick.
I think one of my happiest moments was watching YouTube cry. when I came back from Costa Rica, I said, "You guys, you know." And the wind was out of the sails. I could have retired right there. Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll speak to that too. What you mentioned there. I mean, there's a lot of things about this boat that I think people will say, like, "Oh, you guys looked at other boats," and of course we looked at other boats. Other boat manufacturers have looked at us. I mean, we did a lot of things first that now you see, like power pole. We're the first kayak manufacturer to ever put a power pole mount on the back of a boat, and now everybody does that. And the same thing with the high-low seating and a lot of features that we've come up with over the years. But I think if you really look at this boat, you'll see that we made it Jackson, and it's innovative, and we didn't just copy what other people were doing. We looked at what they were doing, and some of the things they do are really well, and some of the things, we felt like we could do better, or we could, put that Jackson spin on it and make it work for what our team and our group were asking for. And I think you guys did a really great job of accomplishing that. I know, Brad, you said you might have to leave a little early. I don't know if you're good to stick around, but I know there's a lot of questions about the FD. So before you take off, if you can talk about that process, because that's a big part of this boat, right? I mean, it's was a huge thing that had to happen for us to do this boat.
Well, that's what we want. We wanted this new boat with the new drive, and that was it. That was one of the whole things about the boat.
But I don't remember if at one point we were just going to take a holistic look at our old drive and try to find all the failure modes or the potential issues and put corrective action in motion to fix that stuff, to revamp the old drive system. And at some point we looked at it, we're like, we're just going to redo this whole shebang, man. We're going to ground up. And that was the path we chose. And a year and a half later, we're actually shipping boats.
And what was that process? I mean,
the first process, man, was finding someone that's smarter than me.
Yeah. We went through quite a few there initially.
Well, we found quite a few that weren't as smart as us.
Right.
And I think we identified those guys.
Yeah.
And that's why we now have a new drive.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you never want to be the smartest guy in the room, and we had to find someone that could fill that role, and we found a gentleman in Montana named Rich Adams.
Yeah, shout out to Rich.
And he's incredible. He's an incredible engineer that's worked in the bike industry for 20 plus years. He's designed stuff for Schwinn, Specialized, Trek, keep going. But I mean, he was the guy that we were talking about, just revamping an old system, right? But then after some time and thought, he was like, "Hey, you guys realize this pedal technology is already relevant in there." So that's what started the process, and then we started going down that path. And Rich whipped up, a design pretty quickly, and we were on the water testing, in 3 months.
So talk about. I mean, I'm taking Jim's show from him.
No,
so Jim,
no, and this is a free for all. It's a free for all.
Yeah, it is a free for all. But I think that I'm seeing. I'm like fielding questions is the reason I'm asking these questions, and I know the answers, but I want you guys to speak to them. I'm excited. I'm reading James is our marketing director, my fearless leader. I guess you'd say my boss. But he's very thankful. He says that this is what it's all about. And but people are asking about the belt and stuff. So I think it'd be cool to just dive into a little bit about what is going on with the drive that makes it different and unique. And just way smoother, more durable. I mean, obviously we have videos out there that say all this, but yeah, people are asking.
Well, and just, I mean, I'll throw in, I mean, I've worked with Wes Siegler Reels for a long time. He actually suggested a belt drive a long time ago for this. And
our hands were tied.
I know, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is his philosophy in designing a fishing reel is always make it simpler, you know, because you're going to have less points of failure. And sometimes it's harder to engineer something to make it simpler. But once you do, it's so much better. And again, I have not had my hands on this new drive, but just looking at it from everything I hear, that's kind of what's going on here. We've removed stuff to make this a simpler system, but much more efficient.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we killed a lot of the gearing in there, that's for sure, and replaced that with a belt drive to an output cartridge and gear system. So I think we took the maintenance part of it to a very minimum. So it's exciting. I think it makes it a lot easier on a manufacturing level as well. So
Somebody actually asked, is if the belt failed, is it replaceable?
It is replaceable, yeah. But I mean,
it's a tried and true. I mean, this takes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's the same type of belt that's you know that's on an engine, you know, and if we can find somebody with quads that make that belt fell,
Yeah, put in those RPMs.
yeah,
Well, I think putting it this way, people have asked me, I've gotten calls, and we talk about it in the walkthrough video some, but I have gotten calls asking, you know, what are the differences in the lower? What are the differences in the upper? Well, the upper is completely different. I mean, it's and I'll just touch on it real quick, but I think it's a Gates belt, right? Is that right, Brad? So it's a Kevlar reinforced.
For how long now? So I mean, it's tried and true.
Yeah, this is a
Right.
belt that's been around. We didn't invent this. Will as Richard. I got trees falling behind me now. this is bad. Like I may not make it through this video. We got geese attacking, trees falling. Anyway,
infestation.
yeah, I don't know what's happening. So yeah, the belt and the crank arms and all that stuff we took from the biking industry, and it's been around forever. The gears that we were able to reduce the gears by 50%, but the gears that are left are sealed in an oil bath, where before we had a grease that you had to add to the drive. And so being in an oil bath, they're just way smoother. And all these things allowed you to have a lot more efficiency in the pedal. So I know when we were testing, one of the things we noticed is how much more power we could put into the drive, because it felt like you weren't doing anything. I mean, it felt too easy. So we were actually able to increase the pitch of the prop quite a bit and gain more speed out of it because of how easy it became to pedal versus what our old drive was. And by doing that, we had to also kind of upgrade the lower and go to a larger diameter flexible drive shaft. And there's probably a few other things that happened there you guys can touch on. But
the shaft diameter was based upon like all the gear that guys are putting on boats out there, you know. So we saw from the Blue Sky to the Knarr, you know, all the electronics, the batteries, everything else. It was just a no-brainer to beef up the shaft so it could take on that heavier load.
Yeah. And then just the torque that you're able to actually put into it with this new drive. I see Sean Russell's asking, in perfect conditions, what is a comfortable cruising speed? So I would like to say that I've had it in perfect conditions, but about everywhere I go, apparently it is me and not Jim. I always used to think it was Jim, because every time we would go on a shoot with Jim, the weather would turn to crap. Maybe it's cameras. I don't know. But we've been able to easily I'm talking really easy, like walk in the park over 3.5 miles per hour to about 3.7 miles per hour. That was with me having a power pole, my Lowrance unit, batteries, all my rods and tackle. pretty easily maintain that speed. I've hit speeds over 5 miles an hour without killing myself. But yeah, in that 3.5 to 4 range, depending on how you are and what kind of shape you're in. But it's a pretty comfortable, very easy pace that I don't feel tired at all at the end of the day, which is, I think, very impressive for a boat this size. And for comparison, we compared it on the Coosa FD old drive side by side with the new drive, and we were getting roughly about a 0.5 mile per hour increase in speed with the new drive at a very comfortable cadence. So it is faster, and I think you can, see speeds of upper threes pretty easy, which is
at,
like I said,
at a cruising speed.
Yeah, and so the other day we were out on the lake, and Richard Penny had a 55-pound thrust Minn Kota trolling motor on the bow of his Blue Sky, and we were just cruising along and leaving him. Like, he couldn't keep up with us with his motor. So I thought that was pretty impressive, and he was like, "Man, I can't even. You guys are just like walking off and just chatting away like you're not doing anything, and here I am with my motor and I can't keep up." So I thought that was pretty cool.
Did I see something that because of the new drive, we're actually able to put a little bit more aggressive prop on it?
Yeah, we increased the pitch of the prop by a couple of stops, really, or a couple inches.
It used to be, it was a 10-inch pitch prop. Now we're at 14.
Right.
Oh, so 4 inches, so pretty significant increase in pitch. And it also, one thing I will say, there's some questions about whether you can retrofit. You can't.
Yeah,
all our new Flex Drive models, including Blue Sky, will be the new drive system. So 2022 Flex Drives across the board will be the new Mark IV. When we get to a point, our plan where we can actually get enough drives to fulfill all the orders that we have in place, the plan is to have enough stock to be able to sell the drive as a retrofittable upgrade to people's existing FD boats. Now, you'll need the upper and the lower because, like I said, we have made changes to the lower to be able to take the torque and the upper, but also because we reduced the gearing, the prop now spins the opposite direction. So you really need the lower as well because we reversed the drive shaft and it's got a different prop and it's a heavier duty drive shaft. So there's a lot of things going on there, improvements going on there that you'll need both upper and lower.
Yeah, so you need both. They're not backwards compatible that way, but they are backwards compatible in the geometry and how they're going to fit into the boat, correct?
Right.
So if somebody does want to upgrade and they have an older FD, whatever, Coosa, whatever, they're going to be able to drop this new drive into it.
Correct. When we get stock levels to the place that we can afford to let a few go, we'll be selling that. And I don't have any information other than that is the plan, and hopefully by late summer or so, we'll be moving more into that direction. So
I also saw that we eliminated some human error by shipping the upper with the pedals attached.
Yes.
You mean consumer error.
Consumer error.
Yeah.
You get that thing and you're not sure what's going on and accident. It's pretty easy to accidentally put one on the wrong side. And
and also torquing one down, like it's
that's the biggest.
You worry that you're going to break something. You put so much torque on it, and that's where you really needed to be. But yeah, so now it's plug and play. You're ready to go. A lot less assembly required.
JT Hickman says, "Who is your fat guy tester? I have to sell this on a Fisher sizing machine."
I don't know. I would say we're all pretty good sized gentlemen. I'm 220 myself.
I'm
we've
right
had
there.
Some guys. I'm not going to mention any names, but we've had some 280 plus guys in it, and we've loaded it with. We've actually put a bow mount on it, put a 100 amp hour battery in the back, put Lowrance units on it, a power pole, fishing equipment, and myself.
I guess that brings up a question. What is the listed capacity?
So it's debatable, but the capacity is 475. Now, there's a difference in performance and actual capacity, right? Like the boat, you could put hundreds and hundreds of pounds on this boat and it's not going to sink. But if you wanted to like just really take off and go crazy, I mean, the less weight you put in it, the better, obviously. But yeah, it is debatable. I think some brands include the whole of their boat and their capacities. We don't typically. Also, there's other factors there where what is the line of performance? Like, where does it stop performing really, really well, or what it was intended to perform?
Right.
And Tony can speak to that a lot better than I can. But that is a number that has no real judge when it comes to across the board with manufacturers. It's all over the place, but 475 is where we're at there.
Adios.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you so much.
Thanks
All
for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sure, man.
Yeah, and again, and that is a very good point. Is some companies will list their capacity literally at what's our sinking point versus what is your loss of performance capacity, and again, that's kind of a fine line too. Hell, just being able to trim a seat will change your performance, and people don't understand that either. And that's one of the cool things that we've had on our boat since the Kraken was the adjustable trim. Being able to get that bow down or bow up based on whether you got the live bait tank behind you, whether you've got a fish bag in front of you, whatever it is. Does the Knarr has adjustable trim also, correct?
It does, but it's you got to set it for your foot length, so you're kind of locked in
Right.
because of the pedal drive. However, that's why we did things like add the battery storage in the stern, so that, and in the bow. And thank you, Tony, for that little addition. We would have missed that, but having the ability to adjust the things you're putting on the boat, like a battery that's going to weigh quite a bit. If you're doing a stern mounted motor, you can move the battery to the bow. If you're doing a bow mounted motor, you move it to the behind the seat, and then you can kind of help adjust for that and level the boat back out. And it makes a huge difference. You're right. I mean, it's massive.
And it does have the high-low seating.
It does have the high-low seating. And it's the new easy high-low seating. So it's really simple. There's no pins or anything like that. You just kind of lift the front of the seat with no weight in it, and it'll slide up and down on the sliders. Nick and Tony, you guys actually went to the Coast Guard testing facility. Like, maybe you could share a little bit about, did you guys go?
Quite an education there, and it definitely was an eye-opener on how not just ourselves but other people rate their max weight capacities. I think there's a lot of guessing game in the market.
Well, not only guessing game, but a lot of game plan,
Right.
essentially.
Exactly.
And a lot of it is, you come to find out, is all about the gunnel height.
Right, exactly. With that water intrusion, but we got quite an education on that, and we've been pushing that forward on all the designs. So it's always at the forefront. We're scratching this thing out in the beginning, but that was a real eye opener and good education from those guys up in Baltimore.
Yeah. So I see a question, Jim. It says, "Will the Edrive work on the new drive?" And I figured that would come up, and it won't. And the reason it will not is because of that reversed. Because we reduced the gearing in the drive, the lower is now engineered to spin the opposite direction along with the prop. So the Edrive will no longer work with the new boats. So
You just put it on there and go in reverse.
Yeah.
you could go in reverse. Yes. You could potentially do that. I'm not.
But the E-Drive actually has reverse on it, correct?
It does have reverse on it. I don't remember if it, and I should actually check that. I don't remember if it's as fast in reverse as it is in.
I don't remember either, and I've used that thing a few times. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
But officially, no. The E-Drive and the new drive is not compatible. However, I will say that I have nothing to give you there, but we're always looking at ways to make cool stuff at Jackson. So I'll leave it at that.
Speaking of cool stuff, you got some cool accessories that are coming with the boat.
A lot of this we have Nick to thank for as well, and so this is one that is going to come with the boat, and we're going to make available to be able to mount it.
I'm going to give you the whole screen so you can show it a little bit better.
Sounds good. So yeah, this is the rod rack, and basically this is a rod stager. Now I'm blanking on what our official name is, but you guys can look that up. I say it in the walkthrough video. I should remember it, but I don't. And I've also had a couple of Millers at this point. Someone blame those. But yeah, this was something that we went back and forth on. We knew we wanted to accomplish, but we wanted to do a few things different to make it kind of compatible across some of our other boats in the line. So you have a way to bungee up and over all the rods here. So that's pretty simple and pretty straightforward. But the way it connected to the boat is what is different. And that's going to be something you'll start to see in a lot of our, I'm going to try to get this centered here. But we call this the quick clip. So basically you can set this on your track with the T-bolts. And then any of the accessories that utilize this, you basically can pull this tab here and release them from the boat without having to take the T-bolts off. So this would stay mounted to the boat, and this can go up and off the boat. So if you want to pull these off, or you'll see in a minute why that's really important for the other accessory that I'll share. But also this is adjustable up and down. So you see this track in the back. You can adjust this mount up and down to put it where you want it. So if your gunnel height, for example, on another boat is not as deep as it is on the Knarr, or if you're trying to, say, store a fly rod and you want that fly rod to be able to come up and over the tri-track that's behind the seat in the Knarr, and then the reel and stuff can hang out in the tank well, you're able to raise this up to be able to clear that space and mount a fly rod and still utilize those rod tip tubes in the bow of the boat. That was the other thing. The rod tubes in the bow are a 3-rod tube, and what we had in the big rig was 2, so we had to come up with a way to do that. And they did a really great job of keeping that super clean, so nothing to catch like your guides as it goes in and out. There's not a step between the face plate and the tube that attaches to it. It's a clean flush mount there. But this is a really cool part and it also, with the tri-track, and because we have tri-track, this can be mounted this way as well. I see, if guys want to stage their rods kind of laying up on top, it could be mounted on the inside, or it could even be mounted facing out a little bit to give you more space inside the boat. So a lot of cool things you can do with that using the way it connects to the boat. The big one, and the one that has
real quick, both rod tubes on both sides, right?
Yes, there's 6 total rod tubes, 3 on each side. You get 2 of these with the boat.
Maybe as we get to the end of this, Jameson, we can go through some photos that show more of the details of the boat.
Yeah, and I'm going to show, actually, this is when I'll probably need to stop sharing the screen I was sharing and share another window to show the box, because we call this the JK Multibox. And let me know when you've got that pulled up on the screen.
There it is.
All right, so this has been one of the bigger challenges, and Nick can speak to it a little bit, but I'll go quickly through some of the features, and then Nick can speak to all the things.
Why it was a pain?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was just manufacturing, getting it done. Right now, COVID has made things very difficult to get things done quickly, and also this box presented a lot of challenges and a lot of features that we wanted it to have. But real quick, you can see obviously it fits 2 3,700 tackle boxes. There's a bungee that can come up and go around it. But tool storage, I've got an O-ring wacky rig tool stored there. A set of pliers fits really nice. You've got some places you can tether things to. You can hang your baits if you're changing baits out frequently on the water. Some other things just to show the sizing of the box here. This is the box does come with the lid. I'll show that in a second. The lid is removable, and that's a big thing. So if you're doing 3,700 tackle boxes, simply take the lid off and you just use it to store those. If you want to use it to store kind of just whatever, it gives you a lid so you can keep things from getting lost while you're out on the water. And but it fits, spools the line really well. You can do 2 rows of soft plastics, so you can fit quite a bit of soft plastics in there, actually. Here's a front view of how the bungee comes up and over for your tackle boxes if you want to go that route. I had the lid still on it because I was just showing the different ways to configure it. But here it is with the lid closed. So you have, if you want to use it as more of a junk drawer, which is how I use mine, just throwing things like my keys, baits that I've taken off throughout the day, different tools and whatnot, my wallet, that kind of stuff. It goes in, and you've got a couple of places here that are secured with bungee and tucked in really nice and cleanly. This is mounted. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Go back to, if I can get this closed out here. I'm going to go back to showing the actual box. So on each side, you've got 2 of those quick clip connects, like I showed you on the back of the rod rack, and they're adjustable height-wise as well. So the cool thing about that is you can move this around really anywhere on the boat because we have so much. There's like over 12 feet of tri-track on this boat. So it can be mounted anywhere on that, but also even behind the seat position, you can use that as an area to mount it. And we're working on some ways to make this adaptable to a lot of our other boats. So being able to adjust the height, dial in where this sits on the boat. And once you have these quick clips mounted to the boat where you want them, they can stay in place, and you can remove the boat by reaching in behind it and just pushing the tab to release it. So you could actually pull this off and, you know, take it in and clean your stuff up at the end of the day without having to take a bunch of T-bolts and loosen them and pull them off the boat.
So this was made for the Knarr. Is this an accessory that can be purchased separately?
Yeah, everything that we kind of made for the Knarr, it was meant to be adaptable to other boats. We may have to work on a few adapters here and there to make that work, but the idea was to make it work through the line. They do come with the Knarr, though. Nick, speak to some of the challenges that we threw at you with the box, because that was kind of your baby, man. You worked on that one.
Probably, I think the biggest thing is obviously Jameson and I thought big and had big dreams for things, but you know, the reality comes into play of like manufacturability for injection molding. So I think that was probably one of the bigger challenges for that. And one of the biggest goals too is make it make sense. Like, you know, every hole, every feature on there, where the bungee is, all that is just trying to think through exactly what, you know, a fisherman would need while he's out there on the water. So it was, that's just to give you an idea, that's probably revision number 6. So
Really?
from where it first started. But
well, it's another one of those.
Is it O-ringed or anything?
I'm sorry.
Is it O-ringed? Is it water? Is it just kind of like splash resistant?
No, just splash resistant. That's
Okay.
It didn't make it watertight. Given that the slides, the open areas on the back for the adjustability going up and down.
Oh, right.
So, but yeah, there's some drain holes in there too at the base. So if you get any water there, it shouldn't collect. It's got a small kind of gunnel running the inside of the rim of the box. So so we were really happy with it when it finally came out, but definitely a lot of blood, sweat, and tears associated with that thing. That's for sure.
Yeah, I see a couple of questions, and you can answer this, guys, because you know, I mean, I'm pretty confident about it because I know we have gaskets. But asking about the rod tubes, are they completely sealed? You know, as they go in the boat. So how does that process look and work?
It's a closed system, and we're using gaskets instead of silicone now.
Right.
Yeah. And what about the ends of the rod tubes, the caps? They're sealed and glued on.
Those are sealed and glued onto it, so that's a closed system. The faceplate itself, we wanted to make sure when the rod tube's connected to those faceplates, you didn't have that annoying little rib inside there that your eyelets might get, you know, hooked on from your rod. So we wanted to make that real compatible and smooth flow, so there wasn't any hiccups in storing rods in there. But yeah, it's all sealed off. So
because we can change the height of the rear end of the rod holder, does that mean, I mean, I'm going to be able to have a pretty good variety of length of rods I'll be able to work with?
That's right.
Yeah, so I don't remember the length off the top of my head from the I don't want to call it the thwart, Tony, you can correct me, but what the wall behind the seat, you call it whatever I want. Yeah. But the place behind the seat that would prevent, you know, that separates the tank well from the deck area or the seat area. I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head what, if you put a rod butt up against that and ran it all the way to the tip of the rod tube, what that length is. But because you can raise them up slightly, you can actually put 9-foot, you know, fly rods or even longer, really, and just let the reel hang over the top of that into the tank well, sort of like we used to do on the Mayfly and that kind of thing. And that would allow it. Plus, you have tri-track back there. So if you wanted to move this, if you were putting longer rods, you could put this behind that in the back on the tri-track inside the tank well and still run your rods all the way. But I put 8-foot rods in there so far without having to even let them hang over into the tank well. But yeah, it handles a pretty long rods for sure. And then I saw a question.
Yeah, Ricky says, with the rod tubes full, will the box still be able to be used on that side rail?
Yeah, so I was playing with that myself. Like I said, there's plenty of places. I do think if you're planning on getting the rods in and out on that particular side while you're on the water, obviously this box will kind of create a little bit of a challenge there. You can totally still store a couple of rods under this box with it raised all the way to the top. But the cool thing is, again, it's tri-track. So you could potentially, or essentially whatever, take this box and hang it on the outside of the tri-track. So you could raise it up, have it on the outside. Now you'd have to reach over to open the lid and get to it from the outside versus, having it on the inside of the boat. But there's just a lot of options of where you can move it around, and everybody's going to find their sweet spot of where they want to put it. I am actually mounting it behind my seat on that tri-track that crosses behind the seat, and it makes it pretty easy to get to, and I can access my stuff and keep the deck very, very clean up front. But you can fit rods.
That's what I'm
under
thinking too.
Yeah, you can fit rods under it. And the other thing I did is, I know you talked about the BlackPak that just came out. I actually mounted a piece of track on the side of the BlackPak and used our Quick Connects and mounted this to the side of the BlackPak. So what I'm going to be doing, and when we have these available as an accessory, I'll be picking up a few extra quick clips, putting them on different boats, putting them on my BlackPak, and that way I can move this box around to wherever I need it, as far as not having it locked into one place or another.
Available when?
It's a box on a box.
Yeah, with multiple functions.
Cool about
And
that.
I bet there's more boxes inside of it.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be boxes inside of it. So someone, you said, when is it going to be available? It ships with the Knarr right now, and I don't have timing yet when this will be available for purchase individually, but we are working towards that very quickly. But right now, all of our every part and piece that we get in is spoken for because of how many orders we have for current boats. So it's very hard to say when we'll have extras to sell as accessories, but we are moving towards that as quickly as we can.
JT had a good idea, mounting to the gear track on the side of an Orion.
There you go. Yeah, that would totally work.
There you go. I like that. What
Do we
else
have to
do
give
got?
JT a royalty for that now, or is that you didn't say anything? You should have sent us a contract first.
I know there were other questions, but they were scrolling by so fast earlier, then I didn't see any. Well, I know it has come up in other conversations. Bryce, how much is the Knarr gonna set me back?
Can you really put a price tag on fun?
Perfection?
I mean, look behind you at that giant. Well, if you look behind you, you're just going to see a green screen. But the rest of us see this beautiful fish that I'm holding. I mean, okay, I'll get to the price.
It comes with one.
It comes with a free rooster fish. Yeah, $41.99 is the price point, and I think when you look at all the features, it really is. We tried to price it as competitive and as well as we could, so that's where it's at, $41.99.
Yeah, and anybody who's questioning that, I mean, I've been around a long time, so I remember back in the day trying to get the kayaks to $500 retail was like we were just killing ourselves trying to get the retail to over $500. Obviously, that price has gone up a lot. This price compared to the competition is right in line. The weight is right in line with all those boats of this genre, of this.
We feel we're slightly lighter than a few that are out there, and we're slightly less expensive than a few that are out there. And we feel like that we really did a great job. I mean, Tony did a great job with the whole design, and Nick did a great job, and Brad did a great job with all the parts and pieces and bringing it all together. And our team, I mean, we have an awesome team. We all know that, but they did a great job bringing things to the table of like what they needed the boat to do that other boats didn't do. And I think that when you put all that together, like it's right where it needs to be. I will say that it was under 4,000 before COVID inflation or whatever you want to call what we're dealing with right now.
Supply chain issues.
Yeah, supply chain issues, all those things that we're dealing with in the world right now have made this boat creep up in price over where it would have been a year ago.
That's across the board.
Yeah, and I think what people don't realize right now, we're working with our resin that we use to rotomold the boats. It's a live price now. I mean, it's not a set price. It's a live price. It's higher every time we order.
It's like when you go to a restaurant and you want to order the lobster, but it says market price, and you're like, what is market price?
and that's the same with a lot of our aluminum products too. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
But it makes it a lot cheaper when you bend it and put 12 feet of it on a boat. That's what I hear.
Jonathan Lee says that's 54 Canadian, which that's just monopoly. Seems right in line with the competition. Canadian money's not even real money.
I can't understand why Facebook would just, pull your comments down. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I have too many Canadian friends that we just go back and forth.
I know, but yeah, that's right. That's what people don't know is that, we deal with Canadians.
And Jameson was trying to make sure that I wasn't the one that was
I love Canada. I love Canada. So everybody knows that, but it's the Canadians I can do without. No. This is a great question. What was the best cart you can use to get to the water? That will be a challenge for this old man. This old man too.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of carts out there, and I probably will get fired for this, but honestly, one of our competitors has a cart system in their accessory line that works really well right now. But I saw the catch cart works really well. You can also mount the Boondocks cart too. A lot of guys will do that, and it just lives on the kayak. You can do that. So there's a lot of carts on the market that I've used so far that work. I mean, all of them really. Any of them that are rated for the bigger boats are going to work for you. And there's I think several carts that I know of that might be coming out on the market eventually. So we'll see what happens with those. But yeah, I would say right now the catch one works really well.
Obviously, boats this size, and this was Andrew Watson saying probably use a trailer. I mean,
that works really well. It's faster, so you can just back down to the boat ramp. You don't have to
just back down and hit the brakes and just send it out.
Exactly. Right.
Truck beds with the bed extender.
Mm-hmm. And I've car topped it. Believe it or not, I have pictures. I don't know if I have one pulled up or not. But I have put it on the roof rack of my truck.
Of course, you're not saying that that's a wise move. But
I did it by myself and drove for 14 hours with it.
Yeah, this shoulder is not lifting anything onto a roof of a vehicle anymore. So I have a trailer, and
it's all about
since I got the trailer. The reason I love having a trailer, because being a saltwater guy, I rusted out so many vehicles by putting them on top.
All right.
That a trailer is much cheaper to replace than a new truck. So it's that's probably my biggest reason for having a trailer initially. And now it's just because I can't lift them up that high anymore. Scott says he wants to see someone car top it. So you have to break out a picture of that, Jameson.
All right. Let me see if I just pull it up on my phone, because I did it to see if I could do it, because I do the take two all the time. I put it on the top of my truck, and it's 110 pounds with nothing on it. So
here you go. Our good friend Chris Funk can instruct you on how to use a lift assist rack to get one on top of the vehicle until it knocks you in the head.
I watched him pick a big rig up over his head and put it on the top of a car, and that was pretty impressive.
He's more man than me.
Yeah.
So Jim, what is it? Yeah, this is off topic, but old guys need to know what happened to your shoulder.
I got old. Been paddling for over 30 years, surfing forever, and it just wore out my rotator, and so I had surgery 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. So I had rotator cuff and bone spurs removed.
Oh, I had a shoulder replacement.
Yeah, I've had 5 shoulder surgeries. I have a tendency to get bone spurs.
Oh,
and it just wears a hole through them. So yeah, so I'm in that just now. I was able to take my sling off for the first time just a few days ago, and so I'm feeling good not having a sling on, but I'm not supposed to lift anything heavier.
There you go.
Those get lighter as you go on. Mine, this one's like.
So for those that have good shoulders, you had that picture. Did you put it up there?
That's what I got.
That's it.
That's the Knarr on top of my truck with the drive still in it. So, and the seat.
I think helping him lift that thing on there when he left from here is probably why I've got surgery scheduled.
No, you didn't do that. I did that one.
Get him out of here.
So the trick to it is to get the bow up there and then pick the stern up and put it on there. And a lot of times,
Right.
and Jim can attest to this. There's not that you haven't helped me many times, and you have a bad shoulder as well, Nick. So I'm sorry for making that worse. But the trick to sometimes it's like almost better to develop a system of how you load your boat and then tell other people to not help, because a lot of times if they don't know how to help, like you did, Nick, you knew how to help. I'm saying you knew how to help. Others don't, and you end up with like no mirror on the side of your truck, or something because you end up hindering it. So Charlie Bond says I'll pay for that later. Yeah.
Rick says Wyatt helped you load it.
Yeah, I doubt that. So Rick's my neighbor and maybe potentially family somehow down the line. So thanks for watching, Rick.
So
I'm pretty sure he's family, actually.
You're pretty sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Not quite sure.
I don't claim him that often, but yeah. I'm sorry.
What makes this yak heavy? Thicker plastic? It's just a lot of plastic.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a lot of plastic and a lot of tri-track.
Yeah, a lot of tri-track.
But I mean, the sit on tops have to be molded heavier anyway. And when you're standing on them, no matter what it is, it's going to flex. So you have to put enough powder in there, well, plastic, so that it can actually withstand somebody standing on it and people putting 300 pounds of gear on it.
And the pressure points of the seats.
Mm-hmm.
and everything that's involved. Is that weight? Is that including the drive?
Yeah, that's drive, seat. That's everything that comes with the boat.
Okay.
So if it comes with the boat, that's included in there. So the accessories, the rod racks, the pads, the drive, the seat, and the other thing I would say is like this boat has a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot of geometry. You got two hatches. You got a bow and stern hatch that. Obviously you've got geometry there that add plastic. You've got, the drive, the upper and the lower, the seat system, and like you said, the tri-track. So, but at 140 pounds, we're still lighter than boats in its class, I'll say. But to go over the specs real quick for those that haven't watched the walkthrough video, and you should definitely check that out. But it's 13 feet 9 inches long, 37 inches wide, weighs 140 pounds. And so, when you look at boats that size, it's really right where you would expect it to be.
Rudy wants to know: Are you doing a Knarr tour?
Yeah, well, kind of. I mean, we've been secretly doing one with the Knarr, but I will be in Delaware next week. Hopefully, I think they may even receive some boats while I'm up there at Delaware Paddle Sports. Then I'll be in Tennessee the week after at Caney Fork, one of our dealers. And they definitely will have their boats as well by the time I get there. And then, we plan to take this thing. There's a lot of places that I want to visit and revisit where I've been before, but now I have kind of the perfect tool. And one of them is a giant tarpon. Years ago, I lost a fish to a really big eagle ray that has pissed me off for a while now. And I've never got that redemption to catch a big tarpon offshore. And so this boat will be headed to Pensacola, Florida at some point this summer when the tarpon are running. And I will do everything in my power to get my redemption to get a big tarpon off of this boat because it's made for it. So,
well, and talking about a tour, and then you've been secretly taking it around. I mean, the boat has been tested. I mean, the picture behind us is you down in Costa Rica, and we had several guys down in
Panama.
Costa Rica.
Yep.
Panama. And then Bart has been running one hard while he's been down in Panama. I mean, overall, I mean, the hull itself has been tested. the drive has been really thoroughly tested, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's what, like I said, I think I said it earlier. That's one of the things that really impressed me is this time around, at least, it's like with that drive, is nobody wanted that thing going out until it's right.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we gave it to Josh Stewart.
That's what
Yeah, exactly.
No, Bart's had one. I've had a couple. Josh has had a couple iterations as we went through the process of prototyping and pre-production. We sent some to Russell Johnson. We spread them out. So that's Los Buzos. For those of you that follow kayak fishing, probably know that Los Buzos is the destination in Panama to go offshore, and probably one of the best rooster fish and just big fish destinations in the world, and for kayak fishing. And so we sent some boats down there and some drives down there, and we went down and put them through their paces, and Bart's been down there playing with those and as well. And we wanted them in a lot of rough conditions, and I'll say we had no failures. Like the drives just held up. They did what they were supposed to do, and they kind of became a non-issue, really. Like when we were testing the boats down in Panama, it was like the first day, a lot of people were getting in them for the first time. I had some time in them, but a lot of new people hadn't that were with us. And so by the end of the first day, it was just like, well, how was the drive? Like, honestly, I didn't even think about it all day. Like it was great. So
If you're not thinking about it, it's working right.
It just did what it was supposed to do. So I didn't pay attention to like, was it, this or that. And so because we were also testing the steering, and we were testing the boat hull, and we were testing, we had so many 3D printed parts on the boat that we were, making sure that they would hold up and they would work. And this boat, the Knarrs I've been to Texas with them. I've been to Oklahoma with them, to obviously Tennessee. We've been to Panama. We've moved these boats around, and we've tested them in a lot of conditions and a lot of rough water, to be honest. And yeah, it works. Everything works. It's great. It's awesome.
Rick had a question. Is the belt a poly chain type belt? I don't know anything about that. So
poly chain.
Yeah, I know it's a Kevlar Gates belt. That's all I can.
Yeah, that's.
It's a Gates belt, and those are proven.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up for sure.
So, guys, we've been running a little longer than normal. Oh, I wanted to mention really quick too is that there is the walkthrough. Jameson did a walkthrough on the hull, did a walkthrough on the drive. I guess I should mention Will and James did a bit on the drive. It's actually pretty funny.
No, it's a great introduction to what the drive is.
It is funny. Those guys crack me up.
Second City's not calling them though.
But if you want to look at the drive, I mean, there's a couple of those videos out. Guys, if you want me to let you go, I can let you go, and then Jameson and I can stick around a little bit longer because I really want to kind of do just maybe buzz through some photos of the boat. Yeah.
Real quick, I'll
say if you guys want to stick around, we can stick around, but I didn't want to make you hang around if you didn't want to.
So Nick also did, we've got a lot of content coming out more. So I know we had some releases scheduled today. I think the FD walkthrough went out, and also a full promo of the Knarr. But what we have coming is some more in-depth walkthroughs. I'm going to be doing a walkthrough on this box. This box has a lot of really cool features and deserves its own walkthrough. Thank you, Nick, for that. And but also Nick did a walkthrough with the steering to kind of talk about how that works, and we've got that on deck to come out as well. And I'm going to do a full walkthrough on the tri-track. So over the next little while, I don't know exactly when we're releasing everything out there, but just keep following, at Jackson Kayak and on our YouTube channel, our Facebooks and Instagrams and all that good stuff, because we'll have a lot of content to really dive in depth into the tri-track, into this multi-box, into the steering, to answer a lot of questions about it. But also, they're starting to show up at dealers. So, if you got a local Jackson dealer, call them, find out when they're going to be there, and go see one in person, because honestly, you need to see this boat. It is a step above anything I think that we've done. And it's, I could not be more proud of our team, of this boat and of our brand right now. So I'm super pumped about the whole situation and that rooster fish. That's
You ready to share some pictures?
Yeah, I can share them for sure.
You guys want to stick around or?
No, you've got a birthday.
Yeah, wife's got a birthday.
Okay.
So
And I've got an hour and a half drive.
There you go. Well, then we'll drop you out. Tony, guys, I really can't thank you guys enough for joining
Couldn't do
us
this
and
without you guys for sure.
sharing some insight.
The one thing you got to, you know how hard it was for me to keep my language clean.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Yeah, you should be. Thanks for having us.
yeah.
All
Thank
right,
you,
guys.
thank you guys so much. I mean, the boat performs amazingly, and it's because of you guys. So thank y'all.
Thanks.
All right.
Good seeing
Take
you.
care, guys. Jameson,
What's up?
you gonna share screen? You gonna share some
Oh, yeah.
photos with us?
Yeah, let's so here's what I would say. If anyone wants to put what they would like to see a photo of, I could try to find that, or I can just scroll through some really cool images. But we'll start with pulling it up here.
Camille, thanks for joining us. She says, "Hey, Tony and Nick, proud of you, Tony. Not proud of Nick, I guess."
Yeah, that guy. Who cares?
Uh,
Let's see. What do we
Old
want?
school live at price, please.
What was
Did
it?
we say the price at any time? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
$41.99 is the price.
That's a bargain.
Like I said, you can't put a price tag on fun. I'm just looking through. There's so many images right here. I don't know what people want to look at. But we have just, beautiful.
They just
big
want to
fish.
see. They just want to see more pictures of you, Jameson.
Well, here's a really great one of Josh, one of the guys that helped with a lot of input. And I'll say going on there with him up to his neck of the woods in Maryland. And we got 2 bites. He got 2 bites, I should say. I didn't fish. I was filming. He got 2 bites all day, and both of them were studs. So this was the first bass ever caught in a Knarr. And I think that's pretty cool to have one of the guys that gave a lot of feedback and a lot of input in this boat to land the first bass, and a stud bass in the Knarr for sure.
Is this red going to be one of the regular colors?
Yeah, so the red is a limited edition color called Red Dawn. So get them. It's my favorite. I really dig how I'm gonna pull it back up here. I really dig how let's go to this one. It's more full screen here. How the black accents of the security bars up front. So you've got some tie down bars up here, and the hatches and the tri-track. And you'll see a lot of, I will say that you'll see a lot of images where we had a red tri-track. That was a pre-production track. Some of the track on the boat, depending on what color you get, may be red in the limited runs. But the longer bent tri-tracks on the side are black. So I really dig this red boat with the black accents. And that's called.
So people know what we're talking about on this tri-track. Do you happen to have a close-up of tri-track?
Yeah, I do somewhere.
If it's not
So
too
you can
tough to
see
get
it.
to?
You can see it in this photo. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. So yeah, if you can kind of see here, and then of course I keep moving it around. In our take 2, we did kind of a launch on that boat, showing what the tri-track is. But this again is the red pre-production track. The new is what will come on your boat is black on the bent track. So what we did is we actually we have the top loading geometry from Yakattack, so you can put a T-bolt in pretty much anywhere on the track. But the tri-track itself is proprietary to us, so we're the only place you're going to be able to get it, and it's something we came up with and our R&D team designed. And it just allows you to do a lot of really cool things. You can mount stuff on top, on the sides. Like I said, our quick clips can mount on the inside of the boat. You can mount a cup holder, like our Orion cup holder that actually comes with the Knarr, on the side of it. Sorry. And you can see that we've got the rod rack hanging there, but also we're working on some stuff, some clips to be able to run your wiring down the side of the track. So if you come out of the hole, the boat does come with 2 Yakattack pass-throughs that you can put anywhere you want. And so if you pop out of the hole with your wires, you can then jump into the track and use our clips, which I don't think I have a photo of right now on this album here. By the way, Scott Myers took a lot of these really awesome photos for us. There's a close-up picture of the drive. We have some track even on top of the drive, which I've been playing around with some different things there. Obviously, you can mount a camera mount. That's pretty much the easiest one to mount there. But I've been putting like a roto grip there and able to stage a rod, but also my net handle. So I can lay the net on the bow, click my net handle into it.
Okay.
It makes it really quick and easy way to get a hold of your net. I'm going to pop
so
out
that tri-track's allowing us to put something on the inside, the outside, or on top.
That's correct. Yeah. And I'm going to pop out of this album actually and go to this Texas shoot because there may be some photos of the boat a little more rigged out. When we were offshore, we kept them very clean. Here's Dustin with some fish out of his U-pick.
I'll throw a question up there real quick. Will y'all be at ICAST this year?
Yes, we will. We do have a booth at ICAST, so be sure to. I thought there would be more right there, but there's not. Anyway, yes, we will have a booth at ICAST. I cannot remember our booth number. I think it actually just changed. We are very close to Power Pole and a few others, so if you're going to ICAST, be sure to check us out there for sure. Let's see, freshwater photos. A lot of the tri-track stuff I did in the video. I need to get a lot more good close-up photos of that rigged out.
You can kind of see from these photos, I mean, just the length of that tri-track on the boat.
Here we go. Let's zoom in on this. So it's hard to see, but he's got his paddle holder and his Lowrance unit all in the same area. And again, you've got this whole expansive rail. So you could actually run your wiring on the outside. And I want to pull up a photo. We can cut out of this for a second because it may take me a minute to find it on my phone. What am I doing? You can stop sharing that for a second. I've completely messed up the link.
I was looking over the questions. Also, he asked if you're going to be at the Big Gear show in Park City.
That I don't think we have any plans to be at right now. ICAST is the show that we are definitely doing this year, and the Knarr will be there. We plan to do both on the water and off the water as well. I'm just looking for some more close-up shots of the actual tri-track in action. And I should have had these prepared because I should have known that was going to happen. I know I have some on my phone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send those over to my computer real quick. Any other questions while I look for those?
Scrolling. Gene Wilson says you get an A++ on all the content, walkthroughs, promos, Will and James comedy, etc.
Well, I will say this, and this has been a very big joint effort from a marketing team, and really, like I said, every aspect, I mean, of Jackson Kayak has really come together here from the top all the way down to the bottom, and our team, and just everyone has come together, and we've had time. We've taken the time to really vet this boat and gather assets while we were doing so. So it's a big deal. This is
Well, like I said, I mean, just the fact that now the management at Jackson has allowed this process and to come out with a boat like this, like I said, from the top down, it's been such a great effort.
I'm going to share my screen again here in just a second.
Andrew Watson, any other hull access besides hatches for wiring?
So just the front and rear hatch is the only two areas that you'll be able to jump in. But like I said, it comes with the two pass-throughs, so I was able to wire mine up pretty easily, by utilizing those pass-throughs. All right, I've got a photo here. It's kind of a close-up photo of some stuff that is yet to come. So I'm dropping some stuff that I may get fussed at for later. But we are working on and we are developing some wiring clips, and these are a 3D printed version of those. Are you sure? Don't see the screen, so if you're sharing, yeah, you are.
You're not seeing it? Yes, it is.
Well, I got to go back and forth to the.
I gotcha. Yes, it is up on screen with the Yakattack paddle holder and the Yakattack fish finder mount.
Right. So you can do that.
clips.
You can actually move the fish finder mount to the outside and articulate your screen however you want it if you wanted to. But the cool thing is, and what you can't see because of the catch board here, is that I have the pass-through right there, but I'm able to jump out into the track with my wiring and then keep it nice and clean. And I can slide that forward and aft on the boat, including those clips. I can slide. And that really allows me to move that stuff around and keep it, out of the way, tucked in and clean, and not have to worry about where my wires pop out of the boat because I can utilize the track using those wiring clips. So we will be working on those. I don't have an ETA. It could be a while for us to get those into production, but as soon as they're in production, you'll be able to, get those going as well. So.
But the boat itself is in full blown production and on its way to dealers, if not already at dealers.
Nope, that's right. There's I know OKC already has a few on their floor. I know Delaware is getting some. Caney Fork has some coming very quickly. So boats are shipping and they're showing up at dealers for sure. So if you're in those areas, like I said, if you have a dealer, if you don't know where your local Jackson dealer is, be sure to go to jacksonkayak.com and check out where your local dealer is. Call them, ask them when it's going to be there. Go check it out.
JT is asking, as far as paddle goes, what length would you recommend for this boat? I'm guessing a 250, 260.
Yeah, that's what I had. So I have the adjustable length paddle for bending branches. There's a few others out there. You can get, whatever size you need, but I think mine was a 255, 260. You're with Warner, I know. But yeah, I would say 255, 260. Depends on you. It's not just the width of the boat or your height or any of that. Some people are high angle paddlers, and I'm more of a high angle paddler. And I think because of the high seat position, you tend to be a little more high angle anyway in that boat. And you got a taller gunnel, so getting, kind of raising your stroke up a little bit. And but I found the 255 worked well for me. 260 would probably work a little bit better.
Yeah, like I said, you get that higher seat, and you just don't want to be in a position when you are paddling when you're having to lean.
Right.
You want to still stay fluid in here. And like in my Kraken, I'm a 240. Back in the day with the old Scupper Pros, I think it was a 220.
Yeah, I remember starting out at 230, and then now we're at 260 with the width of the boats and the seat positions and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's your height, and like Jameson's, your paddle style. If you're a low angle paddler or a high angle paddler, again, as he says, being in the higher seat, you tend to get into a higher position just because of the way you're going. So I'm guessing, what was the width again?
37.
37. I'm guessing, depending on how tall you are, you're not gonna be unhappy with a 260.
No, 260 is going to get you there for sure, and that's where I would start. But it's one of those things, and I tell people this with PFDs as well. Like, you can't you really need to sit in the boat, sit in that seat, try on the PFD, try the paddle. Find what works for you and your style. And these things aren't cheap. So, get what works, and you'll be a lot happier, a lot more comfortable.
Do you have photos? I know you have a bunch of photos there. I mean, could we do just a really quick run through and just, show some of the features? Or should I just say, hey, people, just go watch the walkthrough?
I think watching the walkthrough would be the best way, mostly because the way these photos are put in here is that they're all over, and I'm just going to be digging through to try to find photos. But what you have proven to me is that we need to sort the photos and kind of show photos of each feature. So that, if this arises again, I can do that quickly. But the walkthrough, literally, I go bow to stern on the boat, and I cover every little feature of it. And then we're going to do more walkthroughs over the course of the next few weeks and months as more things come out, as we, to showcase all the little individual accessories and things like that, that are going on. Oh, we got NRS joining us.
Hey, NRS, I'm wearing the right hat.
Yep.
And I'm wearing the magic one today that works with my green screen.
That one's actually, yes, I noticed that earlier for sure.
I love it. Like, I can have the rooster fish pattern on it.
That's cool. That's actually not a bad idea. We should NRS rooster fish pattern logo.
Hey, a feature. One thing I wanted to ask you about the bow handle is that nice, big, round, burly, awesome. Because gosh, the old shark bite handles that dig into your hand. Excuse me. Is it the same on the stern? I didn't notice.
So the stern is kind of hidden and tucked into
is
the
it cupped kind of?
Yeah, it is cut. It does go all the way through. Actually, now that you say that, I'm gonna have to look at a photo. I should know this, and I know it, but I'm pretty sure. All right, now I'm gonna have trouble finding one of the stern, aren't I? And I have two in my driveway. I could just go
run. Any issues with the lower unit popping up from too much torque or speed?
No, I did see that question. That does not happen. The only time it's going to pop up is if you actually hit something, which is obviously when you would want it to pop up. So
yeah, and take a look at these videos because I don't know if it was on the walkthrough video or on a tease video or something, but when that thing kicks up, it kicks up. I mean, it is totally protected up into the hull. So unlike some other ones, you could run this thing straight into the beach and you're going to be protected. So it's pretty
correct.
cool.
Yeah, it's that's what makes it very unique and very different, and that it can be, and it doesn't go all the way through. So basically, yes, you have a big cutout or a big grab area underneath the boat, where you can get a hold of that area to lift and move the boat, and then the front. We actually worked on that geometry a bit. So some of the boats in the past it was almost like oversized too much. So you couldn't get your hand around it good and grip it. So we adjusted that a little bit as well.
Ricky, I would like to see some photos of how the steering is set up to make the turning radius better. I don't know if he's got any, but I know Jameson did mention that there is a walkthrough video coming up specifically on the steering.
Right. So there is.
And once that comes out, I'll definitely be linking that into our show.
There's also in the walkthrough, I do show a close up of the handle on the steering, but basically what it does is it's a cable, or in this case, it's Spectra cordage steering. And we have a disc in the back that the cable comes out of the hole, loops around the disc, goes back through the steering handles on each side, goes up to the front of the boat through a couple of pulleys. So it's a closed loop system. So when you turn the right or the left handle, it's going to pull the other one with it. And basically that just allowed us to get a lot more throw in the rudder, which is why the steering is much more tightened up. And like I said, we cover that really well in the walkthrough, and there'll be a separate walkthrough that just kind of goes through how the steering is routed through the boat and how it works.
And JT, as for the transducer protector, is it geared for any brand in particular?
No, what we try to do is hit a sweet spot that covered as many brands as possible. So what I'm using right now is a Lowrance FS or Elite FS. And when we did some measuring, we compared the Raymarine, the Garmins, the Humminbirds, and Lowrance. It seemed that the Lowrance was actually the largest. So we made sure that it was accommodated and that it would work with kind of all the major large transducers that are on the market. And that is such a changing space. I know when we designed one around the one for the Raymarine Dragonfly, it wasn't very long after that transducer actually changed and it no longer fit the new one. And they did a great job working with us and keeping that transducer coming out.
It's a moving target.
It is. But what we tried to do is take all the ones that were kind of the popular ones on the market right now, and give you enough space to fit the biggest ones that were out there. So then going down from there is obviously easy.
When I first started putting fish finders on kayaks, you had the Humminbird, and the transducer was about like this.
Yeah, right.
And
that one fits, no problem.
Yeah. And now, the Axiom one is like this.
Mm-hmm.
And
the Axiom fits, the side marine element fits.
And now he said, I may have missed something. He said a transducer protector. Is it just a transducer scupper?
So we have a transducer scupper, and there's also a thermoform cover that you can put on over the transducer to protect it.
But that's going to eliminate your side imaging.
I thought it would, but mine actually worked through it.
Okay.
On mine. So
as long as it's getting enough water there, I guess it would work.
It did seem to work. And that was with the, like I said, the Elite FS. Now, I will say this, that when I was launching down in Panama and I got sand inside between the transducer and the cover, because the cover's opened on the back,
right,
to allow things to wash through and come out. But essentially, you're going to get stuff in there if you're launching on the beach and you've got breakers and all that stuff's going on. So what I noticed is it would create like I'll call it noise at the surface of the water. So when I was shooting the down imaging and all that stuff, like it looked like there was a lot of noise close to the surface, and I think it was because of that stuff in there. So I ended up taking it completely off. I took the cover completely off. The transducers are very durable anyway, and it's tucked in enough to where the boat itself is kind of protecting it. Unless you just hit something right on that transducer, I've been fine with it. So I have one boat, one of the marketing boats that we're filming with the cover on it, and one that has no cover on it. And so for what it's worth.
I have one more question, and then we'll get to the one that's up there. The bait pump scupper.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed you put a cover on that.
Yeah.
Is that so it's not collecting so much water? Or is that to actually hold the pump in?
I think that was one of the things that I think the R&D team kind of came up with. It wasn't necessarily in the design thing, but it was more just aesthetically and to keep things from finding their way into a very large scupper area for that, where that pump would go. As far as, I don't think you wouldn't be able to cover the pump up. You'd have to remove that if you were going to put the pump in. But it just, that scupper with that, if you don't have the pump in it, it's a large,
it's big
scupper. So it doesn't actually keep, there's water down in that area. That's how come the bait tank scupper works, because it can get water without having to be, primed. But it just kind of cleans up the look a lot of that area and keeps this big giant cavity for, things to find their way down in. So,
okay. So before I get to this question, I had one more just because things are popping in my head. You had it in rough surf. You launched through surf. Did you actually have breaking waves over you? Did you have conditions where your cockpit filled with water? How well does it drain?
So it drains really quick. Think about it like this: where the drive is a giant scupper.
Okay.
So not just where the drive pops up, but the drive where it actually the lower unit bolts into the boat. While it's not open, like it's not a big hole, there's no gasket or anything, right? So there's space between usually, so water can just, drain out pretty much that entire area from where the lower unit sits in the boat, plus where the drive, where you can access the prop to clean any debris or fishing line that you might get caught on it. That's all a big scupper. So water dumps out of this boat really quickly. It is a very dry boat. And what Tony was speaking to with the rocker and the way the bow's designed, if you watch the teaser video, James calls it my underwear model or my perfume video, where we have the campfire like set up blazing on the beach and we launched through the breakers. We had a very short break that day. And for those that don't know, a short break is like where the wave almost gets to the shore, before it breaks, which is, I think, one of the harder surf launches to do, because it's really shallow and the wave is tall and breaks right in the shallow part. So you can't get, it's harder to get out and get momentum going.
It's shallow to deep very quick.
Very quick. Yeah.
So it's just like, The wave just comes in and goes, go.
Yeah, exactly. And so you go from, ankle deep water to not being able to stand to jump into your boat. So it's this, you got to time it right. You got to do all those things. And when I did it in that video, if you watch closely in the beginning, when I go through that wave, the bow lifts up and over the wave instead of punching through the wave, which is what Tony was speaking to. You don't want to pencil it. You don't want all that giant wave of water coming into the boat, because that's when you're going to get yourself into trouble. So it was really cool to see from the drone footage that we filmed there, where the boat rose up and went over the wave, and then it came back down, and it threw water away from it. So we did have some water that came in. Obviously, we were in different conditions, and I'll say, big swell I think is easier to deal with than a lot of chop, with where you have white water and reactionary waves coming at you from a lot of different directions. And we had some of that while we were in Panama, when we had some wind doing one thing and some current doing another thing. And you get those occasional splashes, and the boat drained really quick. So.
Okay, we're going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to go, because this thing has gone way long.
Well, it's awesome. I'm glad, because I know that there's a lot of the videos are definitely getting a lot of play, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So anything we can answer is awesome.
Charlie Bond, what are the colors?
So the standard 2022 color wave, which is tiger shark, orange, white, and black.
That tiger shark looks cool.
It does, and there's some photos, if you look at Jackson's Facebook and Instagrams, that Scott Myers took on the beach there with the sunset, and they just, killer. That color was so killer on that boat. So again, that's orange, white, and black. Aurora, which is named after the Northern Lights, and it is going to be lime green, white, and black. So you kind of take the Arctic that we had last year, and we added a pop of lime green in there. And then it looks like Bridget's actually answered the question as well. And then Red Dawn, which is a limited edition. And of course it comes in the forest camo, and the Red Dawn is the solid red. Forest camo, obviously we know that's olive, tan, and black.
Okay. Last question, unless another one comes up. Love what I'm seeing with this new kayak. How easy it to store tackle under the seat, from the front, from the sides. Right now I have a big rig FD, and I keep my tackle bags under my seat for easy access.
You can definitely go in from the sides very easily. You also have quite a bit of space on the seat frame itself, where you could shove a tackle box under there as well. So yeah, there's a lot of room under the seat for storing different things. And keep your eyes peeled, because you never know what cool things we might come out with. So. Awesome.
Well, I know there's some questions we missed. We'll go through later, and I'm taking off here in a little bit. Going to go see a concert tonight.
Who are you seeing? You told me already, but I think the viewers would like to know. Oh, did you already forget? You are old.
I am. Offspring.
Yeah.
Gonna go see the Offspring tonight. Yeah, with me and my son. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll go through and look at questions, and Jameson, I'm sure, will, and answer any that we may have missed. If you're watching this later, not live, and you want to throw some questions up there, definitely do that, because we will definitely be keeping an eye on those. And look at those walkthrough videos, and the comedy one with James and Will, because we need to give them some likes and stuff, because it'll make them feel better.
No, it's all good stuff, and you can find it all at obviously jacksonkayak.com, and follow us on Jackson Kayak Fishing on Facebook, Jackson Kayak on Facebook, Jackson Kayak Fishing, and Jackson Kayak on Instagram.
All the social medias.
All of them. Yeah, it's there. The stuff is there.
All right, Jameson, thanks a lot, man. That was a lot of fun. And thank the guys, Tony and Brad, and Jeff? I can't remember the other guy's name.
Oh, poor Nick. Tony, Brad, and Nick.
I've never dealt with Nick before.
Yeah, so. Nick is really awesome. He spends a lot of time on the CAD program, doing a lot of the design work, and puts up with me. And I do want to say real quick before you just thank you guys. I see a lot of you guys watching that were a part of this process. Jim, you were. I think this is one of the first boats since I've been at Jackson where we really took a lot of team input, and not just the people that were in the closed group, if you will, but we came to that initial thought process of what we wanted by really listening to what our team wanted, what the consumers and dealers wanted, and then we kind of built that core group of people that did that, that were big water tournament guys, big lakes, offshore guys like yourself that have been fishing offshore out of a kayak for maybe longer than I've been alive. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not quite. But the just thank all of you guys for that from me, and we got here because of you guys, and we got here because of our R&D team, and like you said, this is the most involved I think I've ever seen the total family of Jackson, from team all the way up to CEO in a project. So
it's been fun. Even the little bit that I was involved, it's been fun. It's always fun to see something come together, and with all those ideas, and you start going, okay, I remember us talking about that, and it's all, you just see it all get incorporated. And because believe me, guys, if you've never been involved in this process, and I've been involved in this process many times on quite a few different boats, and you get all these ideas and trying to incorporate them, you're not going to make everybody happy, because by and large, we always used to say everybody wants a super fast, super stable,
very light,
super light boat. Like, well,
they can hold 500 pounds.
Yeah, that'll hold 500 pounds that I can stand up in.
Yeah.
It's
hard, and Tony's right. There's a lot of compromises, but I'll say that, I know you haven't gotten the chance to sit in one yet, and you got one coming very soon, hopefully. And but the guys that were on the team that we put together, that got to spend time in the boat, a couple of them I've heard, say, and I quote, this is perfect. This is exactly what we asked for. The R&D team knocked out of the park. If you watch the promo video where I have some testimonials from different guys like Russell and Josh and Dustin and a few others that were a part of this, that's real. Like, that was you just got off the water with the boat. Here's a camera in your face, and they were, almost emotional about it, because it really did feel like, and we did answer to the things that they asked for in the team. So it's really been cool to see, to take that, know that we're working hard to do it, and the R&D team is really working hard, and then bring that product, that finished product, to a person like those guys that were involved in that process, have them get in the boat and have a big giant smile on their face and say, this is what we asked for. So that you were able to check those boxes, and that's been really cool.
That's awesome. And I am very much looking forward to getting in one. I'm looking forward to experimenting or experiencing the new drive. I think it's from everything I've heard from the guys who have had time on it, it's head and shoulders above what was out there, and they're very, very happy. So I'm really looking forward to it. So anyway, Jameson, thanks, man. I really appreciate your time here, and everybody, again, go and watch those walkthrough videos. I will be seeing you later, Jameson.
Yep.
Wow, that was a long show, but tons of information. Again, I appreciate everybody joining us, sitting through this whole thing. If you are watching this as a replay, please let us know. And if you have questions, throw them up there, because we are going to come back and answer questions later. So I hope you all have a good night. And if you are getting out on the water, please, please, please always remember, wear your PFD and keep your paddle or your pedals right side up.